14th June 1789, Mutiny on the HMS Bounty. On the 14th of June 1789, Captain Bligh landed in Timor in the East Indies after a successful mutiny was carried out against him by his men, led by his master's mate Christian Fletcher. Welcome to Time Warp, and today we're sailing back to the 18th century, where a mutiny would occur aboard the HMS Bounty. This mutiny would become famous for centuries and even become a big screen legend, inspiring 5 separate feature films in the 1900s alone. This event might have inspired several movies, but the voyage, the mutiny, and its consequences were very real. Here's how it all happened. The Bounty belonged to the Royal Navy of Great Britain. One day, on instruction by the British Crown, the veteran Captain William Bligh set sail on the Bounty to gather breadfruit from Tahiti, a breadfruit haven at the time. The breadfruit was to be used to feed the slaves in the British West Indies, who worked at the sugar plantations. The authorities had decided on the breadfruit because it presented a cheaper yet nutritious food choice at the time. Bligh began his journey with his crew, which consisted of 2 botanists and 44 other seamen. The ship sailed alone without the protection of other British ships. But the mission was supposed to be a peaceful one, and so it shouldn't have mattered. In October of 1788, after a few months at sea, the crew finally arrived at Tahiti and work began in earnest. Working hard during the day gathering breadfruit and caring for the plants and partying harder at night, the men spent 5 months at Tahiti carrying out their mission. But Bligh, who was well known as a disciplinarian, was disgusted at his crew's apparent lack of restraint. More than 40% of the men had to be treated for sexually transmitted diseases while on the island, and Bligh had had it. Sven Walrus, a bounty expert and author, reveals that Captain William Bligh was extremely insulting and fault-finding, and seemed to enjoy humiliating his officers. He particularly seemed to have a personal vendetta against his master's mate, Fletcher Christian, as he always scapegoated him in front of the entire crew. On the 27th of April that year, Bligh did his worst when he accused Christian of stealing from the coconut booty stashed in the ship. He punished the entire crew as a result, and Christian finally decided that this was the last straw. In fact, he pointedly said to Bligh, "I have been in hell for weeks past with you." After this, there was chaos on the ship, which led to the crew splitting into 2 factions, the Bligh faithful and the others who joined forces with Christian. Those who joined forces with Christian, 23 mutineers altogether, gathered the captain and his 18 men and put them into a smaller boat. The mutineers also gave them some rations as well as a sextant, so they could navigate and then cut off the 23-foot-long boat, setting it adrift in the middle of nowhere on the Pacific. Practically a death sentence. The Bounty was now officially under rebel command. With Christian now serving as captain, the crew aboard the Bounty, which consisted of Christian's men and a few captives who were loyal to Bligh, set their sights on the island of Tubuai. Tubuai was a Tongan island, located about 400 miles south of Tahiti. They tried to colonize the island, but they were unsuccessful. Besides, infighting had already begun to tear the crew apart, and so a takeover fast became an unsustainable idea. Counting their losses, Christian and his men decided to sail the Bounty back to Tahiti, where 16 men in the crew decided to remain on the island. Christian and the others, along with some Tahitian natives, moved further down to the South Pacific and settled on Pitcairn Island. In the end, the men who decided to remain on Tahiti Island were captured and returned to England, where 3 of them were hanged for mutiny. Christian and the others, on the other hand, were never found, even though they were frantically searched for. Meanwhile, Bligh and his men, who had been left to die on the Pacific Ocean by Christian and his men, managed to survive through a most remarkable show of seamanship. They finally landed at Timor in the East Indies on the 14th of June 1789, after traveling on the sea for about 3,600 miles. Soon after, Bligh returned to England before setting sail back to Tahiti. This time, he was able to transport breadfruit trees to the West Indies successfully. So, what did you think about this intriguing story? Do let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Thanks for watching Time Warp, and we'll see you in the next video.